On the killing of Mahisha said, O Devi, Mandodari had a sister, Indumati, unmarried and endowed with all auspicious signs. She grew up in a time to a marriageable age, the Swamvara assembly, a marriage in which the girl chooses her husband from among a number of visitors assembled together, was called then for the marriage of maiden Indumati. The kings from the various parts came there, and the maiden Indumati selected from among them a beautiful strong king of noble lineage and endowed with all auspicious signs. At that time, by the undescribable power of the destiny, Mandodari, seeing the deceitful, cunning, and hypocrite king of Madra, became passionate and desired to marry him. That slender woman, Mandodari, then addressed his father thus: O father, seeing the king of Madra in this assembly, I am desirous to marry him. So perform also my marriage ceremony now. When the king heard this request from her own daughter privately, he became very glad and began with promptness to make preparations for the marriage. He invited the king of Madra to his own palace and gave him in marriage his own daughter Mandodari according to due rites and ceremonies, with an abundance of dowry and wealth. The king of Madra, Charudeshna, became very glad to marry the beautiful Mandodari and went back with her to his own abode. The king, Charudeshna, then enjoyed her for good many days. When one day a maidservant found the king in sexual intercourse with the another maidservant in a lonely place and divulged this to Mandodari. She, finding the king in that state, became angry and rebuked him with a slight smiling countenance. Again, on the another occasion, Mandodari saw the king willingly engaged in amusements and sports with an ordinary beautiful woman, then became very sorry and thought thus: when I saw him in Swambra, I couldn't recognize him as a cheat. I am deceived by the king. Oh, what a wrong act have I done through the delusion. The king is a rock, and he's totally shameless and has no dislike for the contemptible things. It is now too late to repent for him. How can I have any affection for this husband? I forsake from this very day all the pleasures with my husband and all other worldly pleasures, and I take recourse now and contentment alone. I have committed a very wrong act that I ought never to have done. Therefore, it causes intense pain to me now. If I now commit suicide, then that sin will never forsake me, and I must have to enjoy the consequences thereof. And if I return to my father's house, I will not be happy there, for my companions seeing me thus will, no doubt, ridicule me. Therefore, it is now advisable for me to avoid all sensuous pleasures, become dispassionate, and remain here patiently and abide by the strange combinations of time. Mahisha said, thus that woman lamented and remorse and began to remain there, very much sorrowful and distressed, renouncing thoroughly all the pleasures of the world. O auspicious one, I am the king, yet you are showing your dislike for me. No, eventually, you too will be passionate and entertain afterwards an illiterate coward. Keep my word even now. It will be of great benefit and it will serve as a medicinal diet to you as to all women. In case you do not follow my advice, you will have to meet with extreme pain and misery, certainly. Hearing the words of Mahishasura, the Devi said, "Oh, you fool, go to the lower worlds or stand up for fight. I will send you and the other Danvas onto the death and then go away at my pleasure. O demon, I take up form to preserve the righteous whenever they suffer pains in this earth. O Lord of Daityas, formless, birthless, I am. Yet, at the times I take up form and be born to save the Devas. Know this firmly, O wicked Mahesh. The Devas prayed to me for your destruction. Therefore, I will not rest until I kill you. I speak all this truly to you. Therefore, fight or go to Patala, the abode of the Asuras. I speak truly to you again that I will destroy you wholly. Vyasa said, O king, hearing the Devi's words, the Danva took up his bow and came to him the battle, fully stretching the string of his bow up to his ear and began to shoot sharpened arrow with great force at Devi. The Devi too hurled with anger arrows tipped with iron and cut off the Asura's arrows to pieces. Fight between them rose to such a terrible pitch that it caused terror to both the Devas and the Danavas, trying hard to be victorious over each other. In this midst of the terrible encounter, the demon Durdhara came up to fight and made the Devi angry and shot arrows, all terribly poisonous and sharpened on stones at her. The Bhagavati then got very angry and hit him hard with sharp arrows. Durdhara, struck, thus fell down dead on the battlefield like a mountain top. The demon Trinetra, well skilled in the uses of arrows and weapons, seeing him killed, came up to fight and shot at the great goddess with the 7 arrows. Before these arrows came to her, she cut them to pieces with her sharp arrows, and by her trident killed Trinetra. Trinetra, the skilled Andhaka, quickly came in the battlefield and struck violently on the head of the lion with his iron club. The lion killed the powerful Andhaka by striking the demon with his nails, and out of anger began to eat his flesh. Mahishasura became greatly astonished at the death of these asuras and began to shoot pointed arrows sharpened on stone at her. Devi Ambika cut his arrows into two before they came and on her and struck the demon on his breast by her club. That while Mahishasura, the tormentor of the Devas, fell in an swoon under the stroke of the club, but patiently bore it, and at the next moment came again and struck the lion on his head by his club. The lion too by his nails rent and great Asura to pieces Mahishasura, then quitted the man form, took up the lion form, and by his claws cut the Devi's lion and wounded him very much by his nails. On Mahishasura taking up this lion form, the Devi became very angry and began to shoot arrows after arrows at him, all very terrible, sharp and like poisonous snakes. Then Asura, quitting the lion form, assumed that appearance of male elephant, causing out juice from his temples, and began to hurl the mountain tops by his trunk. Seeing the mountain peaks thus hurled on her, she cut them off to pieces by her sharp arrows and began to laugh. The Devi's lion, on the other hand, sprang on the head of the elephant Mahisha and by his claws rent him to pieces. To kill the Devi's lion, the Mahisha quitted the elephant form and assumed the appearance of Sharbha, more powerful and terrible than lion. The Devi, seeing that Sharbha, became angry and struck on head of that Sharbha with her axe. The Sharbha too attacked the Devi. Their fight became horrible. Mahishasura then assumed that the appearance of the buffalo and struck the Bhagavati by his horns. That terrible Asura of hideous appearance, swinging his tail, began to attack the thin bodied Devi. That violent Asura caught hold of the mountain peaks by his tail and, whirling them round and round, hurled them on the Devi. That vicious soul, then maddened with his strength, laughed and addressed thus: O Devi, be steady in the battlefield. I will send you today unto death, and your youth and beauty too. You are an illiterate fellow, as you have come maddened to fight with me. Really, you are deluded in your pretensions. Really, you are deluded in your pretensions that you are very strong. This idea of yours is absolutely false. I will kill you first, and the hypocrite devas after, who want you to vanquish me by standing up a woman in front of me. The Devi said, O villain, don't boast. Keep yourself firm in the fight. Today I will kill you and make the devas discard their fear. O wretch, you are sinner. You torment the devas and terrify the munis. Let me have my drink of sweet decoction of grapes, and then I will slay you undoubtedly. Vyasa said, O king, saying thus, the Devi, wrathful with anger to kill Mahishasura, took up the golden cup filled with wine and drank again and again. When the Devi finished her drink of the sweet grape juice, she pursued him with a trident on her hands to the great joy of gladdening all devas. The devas began to rain shower of flowers on the Devi and praised her and shouted victories of the Devi with Dandubi, a divine drum. Jai, Jiva, victory, live. The rishis, siddhas, gandharvas, pishachas, urgas, and kinnars witnessed the battle from the celestial space and became very much delighted. On the other hand, Mahishasura, the hypocrite Pandit, began to assume various magic forms and struck the Devi repeatedly. The Devi Chandika then, infuriated, with eyes reddened, pierced violently, the chest of this vicious Mahisha with her sharp trident. The demon then, struck by his trident, fell senseless on the ground, but got up in the next moment and kicked the Devi forcibly. That great Asura, thus kicking the Devi, laughed repeatedly and bellowed so loudly that Devas were all terrified with that noise. Then Devi held aloft the brilliant discus of good axle and of thousand spokes and loudly spoke to the Asura in front of all. O stupid, look, this chakra will sever your throat today. Wait a moment, I am sending you instantly unto death. Saying this, the Divine Mother hurled the chakra. Instantly, that weapon severed the Danva's head from his body. The hot streams of blood gushed out from his neck as the violent streams of water get out from mountains, colored red with red sandstones. The headless body of the Asura moved to and fro a moment and then dropped on the ground. The loud acclamations of victory were sounded to the great joy of Devas. The very powerful lion began to devour the soldiers that were flying away as if he was very hungry. O king, the wicked Mahishasura, thus slain, the demons that remained alive were terrified and fled away, very much frightened, to Patala. The Devas, Rishis, human beings, and the other saints on this earth were all extremely glad at the death of this wicked demon. Thus Bhagavati Chandika quitted the battlefield and waited in a holy place. Then the Devas came there with their desire to praise and chant hymns to the Devi, the bestower of their happiness. Here ends the 18th chapter of the 5th book on the killing of the Danava Mahishasura in Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Vedvyasa.